At last, the castle of Grey Skull and the sword of power are mine. The long battle is over. All of Eternia will bow before me, their new master. The era of Skeletor has begun.
The triumphant thoughts filled Skeletor's mind, as he strode with purpose down the cold stone corridor, towards the Dome of Despair.
Now, they'll witness the true power.
Skeletor mused wickedly, as he entered the Dome of Despair's main vault. This malevolent chamber, constructed under his command, was more than a mere prison. It was a hellish arena, that he intended to crush the spirit of his eternal foe, savoring the delicious taste of a victory that had been long in the making. Eagerly, his gaze shifted to what he had been yearning to see.
And the fate of their champion. Hey man. Here, in my Dome of Despair.
Captain Dolor approached Skeletor with a mixture of pride and trepidation. In his twisted genius, he had designed countless tools to serve his master's dark whims. But this one, his masterpiece.
Your slave is ready, my lord. In our new device, the Dragon Snare.
The Dark Lord's lipless mouth curved into a sinister grin as he contemplated the torment awaiting his long-standing rival.
Excellent, Captain Dolor,
he replied, his voice cold and satisfied. His eyes, never wavering from the sight of his bound and subdued foe, gleamed with anticipation. Four monstrous stone dragon heads emerged from shadowed recesses, their twisted visages seeming to rise from the very depths of hell. Their mouths were agape, fixed in a vicious and eternal snarl, revealing wickedly serrated fangs that glinted ominously in the dim, eerie light. Firmly attached to these menacing fangs were spiked shackles that ensnared Haman's powerful limbs. The dragon's jaws appeared to sink into his flesh, gnawing and ripping, each clawing to drag him down into its abyssal lair, a place of endless torment and despair. The dragon's eyes seemed to gleam with a malevolent hunger as they watched He-Man's muscular arms and broad shoulders held within their unyielding grasp. The tension in his chiseled muscles hinted at their formidable strength, even in their restrained state. Within the maws of these stone beasts, braziers filled with dark coals lay in wait for the command to ignite. They made the monsters appear ready to exhale a perilous flame. A lingering promise of torment yet to come. The largest brazier was positioned within the stone dragons, filled to the brim with a sea of dark, lifeless coal. Like a hoard amassed by a greedy and merciless creature. This brazier, a foreboding symbol of the suffering to come, dwarfed its companions and loomed ominously, as if commanding its kin. At the heart of this enormous container was an axe. Its blade, as cold and unfeeling as a venomous tongue, ready to lash out and strike. The arrangement was a torturous balance of a being whose cruelty knew no bounds. The enslaved hero's torso was stretched taut and hung in a sinister display above that large brazier. The axe beneath him, which seemed to offer support at his waist, was in reality a treacherous torment. Its wickedly sharp end cruelly pierced into him, digging into his soul. This instrument of agony forced his once heroic figure to arch painfully upward and extend, causing his magnificent chest, now darkened and marred from relentless torment, to thrust forward. All dignity was stripped away, facing Skeletor's throne of malice. His thick neck hung like a lifeless appendage, a macabre mockery of the hero who once held his head high, Eternia's proud and unyielding defender. His face, once a symbol of valor and hope, revered and admired by all who looked upon him, now lay defiled and enslaved, smeared with dirt. His golden locks were matted and wild, a tragic fall from grace. His eyes were closed in unconscious oblivion, unaware and unprepared, unable to see the forthcoming torments Skulletor had meticulously orchestrated for him. Skulletor's eyes remained fixed on Haman's body as he glided toward his chair. With deliberate elegance, he settled into the plush seat, a luxurious respite that stood in grim contrast to the suffering he had meticulously crafted. The Dark Lord lingered in this moment of anticipation, a hungry gaze feasting on every nuance of his prisoner's vulnerability, a perverse satisfaction in his cold eyes as he reveled in the power of his creation. The Dragon Snare, a fiendish contraption wrought from malice and dark ingenuity, could reduce even the mighty hero to a state of utter helplessness, vulnerability, and exposure. Its unrelenting grips had ensnared its prey in a web of suffering and unbreakable captivity. But this was just the beginning of its wicked purpose. The machine was primed to metamorphose from a passive constraint into an active instrument of torment. And Haman The legendary warrior was to be the first to endure its full, harrowing potential.